On this, our 14th and final episode of our RVing to Newfoundland and Labrador series, we're going to explore our favorite destinations, campgrounds, tours, and historical sites.
And we're also including an additional section for amazing attractions that are free.
We are Terry and Cindy O'Keefe. We've been camping together for more than 40 years, and we invite you to join us on a 14-episode adventure as we explore Newfoundland and Labrador.
Now, just before we start, we want to apologize for the geese honking in the background and say that we know that not everyone is going to share our interests and appreciations, and these were simply our favorites.
And of course, again, these are our adventures in Newfoundland, and we didn't get to go everywhere and do everything.
So with that proviso out of the way, let's jump right in and start with our top 4 tours and excursions. And coming in at number 4, the Western Brook Pond Tour in Gros Morne National Park.
This is a 2-hour boat tour of a landlocked freshwater fjord where 2,000-foot cliffs and waterfalls cascade to the windswept pond below. The glacier-carved lake is 16 kilometers long and up to 474 feet deep. So we thoroughly enjoyed this spectacular excursion.
And now, coming in at number 3, our trip out of Trinity with Sea of Whales Adventures to see sperm whales.
Hey, you did it.
Yeah, it's very graceful when they stick you with the tail.
Yeah.
Look at this fellow's please put 100,000 pound animal you're looking at.
Yeah, 150, 200 feet.
Oh, that's not. Okay, we go for that way.
Oh my God. Now, we've seen humpbacks and orcas quite a few times, but this was a first, and this was an absolute blast.
And coming in at number 2, well, it's kind of hard to share this one. Now you gotta turn off your phone.
I got to turn off my phone. You're right. No recording allowed.
Obviously, we couldn't record in the theater, but seeing Come From Away in Gander, where it all occurred, was absolutely fantastic. The cast, made up of some of the Broadway originals and some of Newfoundland's best performers, had us laughing and crying. And I will say, we've seen plays and musicals in New York, in London, in Toronto, and this was hands down our absolute favorite.
And now for our number 1 attraction.
It's our journey onto the foggy North Atlantic with Dark Tickle Expeditions in search of icebergs.
Iceberg, dead ahead. I always want to say that. Yeah, it's right. It's right there.
When we set out on our Newfoundland adventures, seeing icebergs was at the top of our wish list, and this tour was just magical. So those were our favorite tours, and now we're going to change things up a bit and look at our favorite campgrounds.
Now, normally when we camp, we stay in provincial, national, or state parks. We value that peace and nature over services and amenities, and you're going to see some of that reflected in these 5 choices.
Bear right, then the destination is on your right.
Coming in at number 5 is Elliston Municipal Campground. With a beautiful beach and only costing $20 a night, it is super close to a special attraction.
This area right here, this island, that is the Puffin sanctuary, or colony, I should say, not sanctuary. And it's not very far at all, maybe a kilometer away from the campground. So if you want to see puffins, this is a very convenient location. Oh, there it is right there, Cindy. With the wooden fences. Looks like there's a couple people here. Or one just arriving. And coming in at number 4 was the tiny campground in Little Bay. There might only be 4 sites, but they're right on the ocean, and the views, simply amazing. It was a great spot to relax for a couple of days. So the sun is setting here in Little Bay. We didn't get to see any whales swim in, but what are you thinking?
Oh, the view is amazing now. Like, topography, mountains, the water is amazing. And coming in at number 3 is Pinware River Provincial Park in Labrador. You both see the same thing in the fire.
It sounds like we're crazy.
This remote campground had spectacular views of the Atlantic with icebergs in the distance.
Hi, Ranger. Good boy. What are you doing?
And Ranger loved the beach.
Yeah? This a nice beach? And now for our top 2 campgrounds, and these aren't in a particular order. We love them both, especially for their views and convenience.
Greenpoint Campground in Gros Morne National Park was simply serene. And it provided incredible vistas and sunsets.
So we're sitting here having dinner. How's that view for dinner?
Awesome. Look at the water. We could watch fishing boats, seals, and whales right from our campsite.
And our other top campground was more like a parking lot. Yes, a parking lot set in the most incredible and unique landscape we have camped in. Where's Cindy going? Go get her. Brimstone Head RV Park on Fogo Island provided incredible views and convenience. Even the local wildlife was impressive. You don't say. Well, you've got quite the story to tell. No, Ranger can't come out and play. And since we're talking about camping, we thought we would also share our favorite boondocking locations. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with that term or perhaps interpret it differently, when we define boondocking, we're talking about camping with no services, dry camping, but there's one other qualifier. It's got to be free.
Now, Newfoundland has a lot of great boondocking opportunities, and here are 3 that we enjoyed. The last one is a must-see.
But up first is Wreck House. This is a large paved pullout off the Trans-Canada Highway, about a 20-minute drive from the Marine Atlantic Ferry Terminal in Port aux Basques. With the ocean on one side and the long-range mountains on the other, this picturesque spot is very convenient for people who disembark from the ferry just as the sun is getting ready to set. Well, it sounds like the local geese are excited for number 2. It's the Point Amour Lighthouse in Labrador.
This was truly a unique spot to spend the night, with the lighthouse beam gliding above the trailer through the fog. We made sure to leave before the Lighthouse Museum opened the next morning so as not to inconvenience new visitors.
You ready? Okay, let's go. Good boy. And the most beautiful spot we have ever boondocked on this trip or any other was just outside of Twillingate.
Nice views. Wow. Awesome.
This abandoned campground in Crowhead offered spectacular ocean views. I can't imagine what it would have been like if there had been whales or icebergs in the area. An amazing free camping spot we would have paid good money for. Okay, so this is probably going to be our most controversial topic, but it's our top 5 destinations. People are probably going to disagree with some of these, but let's start.
Coming in at number 5 is St. John's. From the picturesque and quaint neighborhoods of Kitty Vitty and the Battery to the jelly bean houses of downtown, this small city is charming. St. John's has a fantastic museum and art gallery and numerous historical sites that must be explored. Of course, there's great dining and shopping opportunities. And just a short ferry ride away is beautiful Bell Island, where you can explore the rugged shores or head underground for a fascinating mine tour.
And where the ore is gone is an open.
It's also where we had the best fish and chips of the trip.
And coming in at number 4 is spectacular Gros Morne National Park. Not only were the mountain and ocean views stunning, the tablelands area of the park was otherworldly. Often described as Mars-like, this is one of only a handful of places in the entire world where you can walk on the Earth's mantle. It's also a place where you can wander the beach through the wreckage of a 100-year-old shipwreck. And of course, as we highlighted in the top tours section, this is also where you will find Western Brook Pond. We spent a total of 5 days hiking and exploring Gros Morne and loved every second of it.
And continuing with our favorite destinations, coming in at number 3, the Bonavista Peninsula.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that beautiful?
Here you'll find the beautiful and historic town of Trinity. It's also where you can hike the famous Skirwink Trail. And it's where we found the Sea of Whales tour we featured earlier. But wait, we're not done. At the end of the peninsula is the town of Bonavista itself. It's a very active fishing port we loved exploring. And speaking of exploring, there's also the Cape Bonavista Lighthouse. And Dungeon Provincial Park. Here you'll find a communal pasture, an incredibly rugged coastline, and a unique geological feature known as the Dungeon.
This is the Elliston Puffin colony. Let's go and see if we can find some.
But wait, there's even more. Just 8 kilometers from Bonavista is the Elliston Puffin colony. If you're lucky, you'll be able to get within a few feet of these adorable stocky birds that seem to be everyone's favorite. And Bonavista also features some truly interesting historical sites. The Ryan Premises, a National Historic Site exploring the history of the Newfoundland fishery.
On to the next person, and the next person put their hand in, press down, and snap the head off the cotton.
And the Matthew Legacy, an exceptional 1-to-1 scale replica of the ship John Cabot sailed when exploring Newfoundland in 1497.
The mast, right to the very top, is 76 feet. To the crow's nest is 62 feet.
Bonavista really did provide many of the highlights of our Newfoundland Odyssey.
And for the remaining 2 on our list, you're going to do a drum roll or anything? No? Okay, well, let's just say it's a tie, because we couldn't decide which one should be number 1. They both seem to deserve it. And this first one might surprise you. It's the Great Northern Peninsula.
Located on the most western and northern section of Newfoundland, this part of the province feels remote. You can drive for kilometers on end and not encounter another vehicle, with just the waves and bergy bits to keep you company. It reminded us of all the Newfoundland tourism videos we have seen over the years, with icebergs seemingly double parked alongside houses.
And speaking of icebergs, it was here in St. Lunaire we had our amazing Zodiac expedition with Dark Tickle. And just up the coast is Lonceau Meadows. This National Historic Site run by Parks Canada is an exact reproduction of a 1,000-year-old Viking settlement discovered on the site, proving Columbus was not the first European to discover North America.
How long was the journey over?
Sailing time, 10 dogger. Actual time, probably takes you 30 days to get here.
That was departing Greenland, was it?
Yes.
Yes.
It's pretty heavy.
You'd have made a fierce warrior.
And just up the road from the Parks Canada site is Norstead. Operated by a non-profit organization, Norstead depicts life as it could have existed in a Viking village or port of trade in any of the Scandinavian countries. It also included a hand-built replica of a Nar, a Viking cargo ship.
Cheers.
Lots of Meadows is also where we found the Norseman restaurant. This tiny restaurant on the northernmost tip of Newfoundland served up the very best meal of our trip. And when dinner is over, you can walk across the street to check out the statue of Viking Leif Erikson, who stood in this exact spot 1,000 years ago.
Is he looking off to Iceland?
So far on the Great Northern Peninsula, we've had icebergs and Vikings. What could possibly make it better? How about some live music, beer made from an iceberg, and becoming an honorary Newfoundlander by getting screeched in?
Nice marn, nice marn, nice marn, 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 nice marn, nice marn, marn, marn. Did you get that?
You got that right.
In Straits View, population 55, it's a 7-step process that includes learning to talk like a Newfoundlander, kissing a cod.
No finer fins on earth. You're a lovely fish.
And of course, downing a shot of screech.
Long may your big jib draw.
Long may your big jib draw.
Down the hatch, okay. Good stuff, me ducky.
So as you can see, the Great Northern Peninsula captured our hearts. And there was one other location to do that, and it's Fogo Island.
You feel like you're, I don't know, back in the beginning of time.
Yeah, you said earlier it's like being on the moon.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
I can't really verbalize what exactly attracted us so much to this island and the towns of Fogo, Jobat's Arm, and Tilting, other than to say, it's magical. The brightly colored houses clinging to the rugged, treeless shoreline is beyond picturesque. And even though Fogo Island is remote, this was the location of the second best meal of our trip.
Bang Belly. Thank you. Fish and chips. French fries. And look at that burger. Amazing.
And if you're looking for something even more upscale, there's the world-renowned Fogo Island Inn. Fogo Island even had the best ice cream of the trip.
Oh, that looks amazing. Thank you.
Very well.
Cheers. It's 2.6 kilometer trail out and another 2.6 in. Use caution. Many areas are steep and rocky. Sudden fog and high breaking seas can create dangerous walking.
If you wanted to work off some of that ice cream, Fogo Island also has some incredible hiking trails, including Joe Bat's Point Trail that ends at a 6-foot-tall sculpture of a great auk.
Feel like I'm on a movie set here. And you get up to the top of the point, you come around this large rock.
Okay, we know some of you are going, what about Twillingate? Twillingate was beautiful, but it's best known for icebergs and whales. And when we were there in 2024, Twillingate had no icebergs and the whales hadn't arrived yet. So That's why Twillingate didn't make the list. But if you want to leave a comment about your favorite place in Newfoundland, please do and share it with other viewers. So when we started out on this trip, this is going to sound silly, we didn't know how much we were going to learn. But the national, provincial, and municipal museums and historic sites that we visited were amazing. And we're going to share our top 3 with you. The first 2 we've already mentioned, so just a little bit on those. And the last one, it's one of the highlights of our entire trip.
So, first up, the number 2 mine tour on Bell Island.
The miner is called after the ribs of the mine, and that's how it fractured after it was blasted out, called fracture blasting.
This underground exploration of what was once one of the world's largest iron ore mines that stretched miles under the Atlantic Ocean was informative and interesting. And if you'd like more information, check out our episode on St. John's.
And coming in at number 2, Meadows National Historic Site. It wasn't until 1960 evidence of the Viking settlement was discovered and the archaeological excavations and studies were started. And this fascinating UNESCO World Heritage Site is the only known Viking settlement in North America.
And there were 8 buildings excavated. We've reconstructed 4. And yes, they're pretty much a footprint of what was up there. Because after 14 or 15 years of excavating, they could determine where all the posts were, and how thick the walls were, and where the partitions were. Yeah, so everything we have our reproductions from the time period.
It's truly fascinating, and how much work that would have been for, a 30-man crew.
A lot. But with that said, they knew what they were doing. Because it's the kind of houses that they built in Iceland. But work, yes, there was a lot of work involved. Yeah. Absolutely.
And our favorite historic site was Red Bay, Labrador. We had the most amazing tour guide.
Isn't that pretty town?
Yeah, it's houses on the hill out there on the right.
Yeah.
For hundreds of years, Red Bay was simply a quiet Labrador fishing village. But in 1977, Selma Barkham, a Canadian historian and geographer, made a fascinating discovery. Red Bay's harbor was the epicenter of Basque whaling in the New World during the 16th century. Red Bay went from obscurity to being a Canadian and UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Parks Canada has established an excellent interpretive centre with hundreds of displays of artefacts discovered during the archaeological excavations around and under Red Bay. Parks Canada also operates a boat service that takes visitors to Saddle Island, the centre of the research.
And this is where we were joined by that exceptional guide Cindy was talking about.
Looked like when they took the layer of soil off, and now today the soil has grown back, but you can clearly see these indentations of some of the wall stone that made the masonry for that.
We learned archaeological researchers had found remains of rendering ovens, cooperages, a wharf, living quarters, and a burial ground with the bodies of 140 Basque whalers on the island and 3 sunken galleons just offshore. And our guide, born and raised in Red Bay, shared with us her own incredible first-hand story of Selma Barkham's discovery 47 years ago.
You'll see 4 or 5 of these squarish, rust-colored rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Here locally, the kids and the community, we've always referred to them as magic rocks. You could go down, you could pick up one of those, and you'd be able to write with it like a crayon on any of the bigger rocks.
Oh.
And if you get into a skipping competition, you're going to throw it and try and get it to skip across the water. Hands down, that rock is going to win over any other rock. So way back in 1977, Selma Barkham came to Red Bay. And the first few days she was here, she wanted to see if this harbor matched up to the written description. So she's walking around. And of course, kids in a community like this, we all followed her. And when we came to the beaches, we showed her our magic rocks, because what else were you going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this lady, this proper English, refined intellectual lady jumping up and down, waving her arms, freaking out. Like, it's just a rock. But the thing is, they're not rocks. They're terracotta roofing tile. That was the very evidence she needed. The starting point to say, yes, the Basques were here. This is the harbor I've been looking for the past 20 years.
Oh, gosh.
Or, well, I don't know 20 years, but a long time.
I mean, wow, what an incredible history lesson. We felt really, really fortunate for that experience.
Okay, so we promised you attractions that don't cost anything. So here we go, iceberg chasing.
You don't have to pay for a tour to see these 10,000-year-old wonders. If you visit in May or June and head to the right areas, they'll just present themselves.
And speaking of giants of the seas, for a few weeks each year, the humpback whales make St. Vincent's home. Watching them swim through the waves, crashing ashore just meters away was amazing. And while we briefly touched on this spot earlier, access to the puffin colony in Elliston is free, but they do accept donations.
Now they tell me. And of course, there's hiking. Newfoundland has some of the most beautiful hiking trails we have found, and every one of them was free. Oh my gosh, look how green the water is. Want to miss that step. Beautiful. Many trails traverse rugged cliffs and shorelines, offering spectacular views. While others explore beaches and wave-worn coasts. Please do forgive if some of the pictures from up here are a little shaky. It is incredibly windy up here. So there you have it. Some of Newfoundland's best destinations, tours, historic sites, camping, and things that you can see for free. And now we've got a bonus topic for you.
We also discovered that Newfoundland has some amazing sunsets, and here are 3 of our favorites.
and it's gone.
Wow.
So as we wrap up this final episode of our RVing to Newfoundland series, we wanted to leave you with some final thoughts. This was a 9.5-week adventure in which we covered 11,098 kilometers. We learned so much and enjoyed every minute. The people of Newfoundland are incredible, and this province is more rugged, picturesque, beautiful, and enchanting than we ever imagined, and we cannot recommend this RV adventure enough. And so we're going to leave you with a few final thoughts reflected in Newfoundland mindfulness. Long ago, you wandered off the path. Now you find yourself wading through a field of indigo. There are more direct routes to your destination. After all, lighthouses are built to guide us. But there's something to be said for getting lost every now and then. And remember, you know you're having a time once you've lost all sense of it. Any final thoughts, Ranger? No? Okay, well, let's just say thanks very much for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this series and that you'll continue to follow our RVing adventures. Happy camping. Is there anyone else you'd rather have been on this trip with than me or Ranger?
No.
I don't believe her.
You're not using that either.
Apparently I'm not allowed to use this in the video.